Namaste, my friends. Welcome to Life Transformations with Zachary Bailey. Um, I am going to do my best to share some personal stories and talk a little bit about how I got to this point with life transformation. There's a lot of stories to getting organized and learning how to figure this out. It's going to take some time, but I'm going to tell you some of the most important parts. Let me tell you a little bit about my character growing up and my environment. I grew up as the only child between my mother and my father. I was raised by my single mother, mostly single for most of her life, with multiple marriages, along with my brother, who's 2 years older, and my sister, 2 years younger than me. Through my mom's experiences, she strove to take care of us and keep us safe and provide for us, and she did that. She did so well that as I struggled with some life circumstances, I wasn't worried about some of the choices that I made in life because I thought, for example, my mom didn't graduate high school and we were fine. Why do I need to graduate high school? So I don't say that in encouragement not to graduate. In fact, I personally would say that I've regretted that decision and wish that I would have applied myself more when I was younger. But it has given me the drive, or should I say, and it has given me the drive through my experiences that I create better experiences for myself and for my family as a father and a husband, providing for my family. So, been through a lot. My parents were divorced before I was born, and I I learned more of the details of that as I got older. Um, I was born in California, and there being raised and taught by both my mother and my grandmother, both of which were single most of my childhood and my even my adult life. They were the ones who raised me. I was raised with good morals, values, and beliefs, and as I've gotten older, I come to find out that a lot of what I experience is not the way that people normally see it. For example, yes, my faith and my religion hasn't had an impact on me, but what I see from my life experiences was that those characteristics were in me with or without religion, and that religion guided me with how I might use the details of what I felt within myself. I think I always believed in God, I always believed in something more, I always desired to be more. For example, when I was 6 years old, I had the desire to teach people, even adults, at 6 years old. And I had this feeling in a moment in church where people would get up and bear their testimony, share their feelings and their beliefs. I'd see other kids get up there and they would repeat the same thing that somebody told them to say. And I thought, I want to get up there and speak from the heart. I want to get up there and say things that are going to touch the lives of others. And I felt that. And I thought that the people that were the closest to who I identified with, that were my friends, were I'm going to call them heroes, the people that I learned about in scriptures, people of faith, people who also had a relationship with God and understood and knew who they were. Now, as being a young kid, I didn't understand how to grow. I didn't know how to change. I was scared. I had immense feelings of anxiety that later on became forms of depression. terrified to engage people socially, scared out of my mind. Growing up, I went to at least 3 different schools every year. I remember at only 8 years old, I'd already experienced what I felt was love, and we had to move, and I didn't even get to say goodbye to this young girl. But I knew that she loved me, and that she knew that I loved her because, when we were kids, we'd send the little notes to each other and do that little weird thing and stuff, folds in and out and say yes or no and ask questions and all that. She wanted to be my girlfriend. And I overheard her talking to a friend when we went outside to recess say, Zachary loves me. And it was one of the most amazing feelings I had felt. At that point in my life, and then my mother choosing to get another divorce, decided to move, and I didn't even get to say goodbye to that girl. And I would cry myself to sleep for days. And I would say it started from that time when I would have feelings of loss. I would harden my heart so that I wouldn't have to feel that way again. And unintentionally, what that did is cause me to make it so that my social anxiety would be worse. I couldn't connect with anybody because I felt like, why bother? I can't care about them because if I do, they're going to be gone. I won't have them in my life anymore. So don't connect with people. Now I see it as the opposite, that I've let that destroy so much of my life and the relationships that I did gain and the moments that I was trying. And now, as I'm trying to grow this movement, I don't have all the same connections that I once had or that I could have had I not let moments like those childhood experiences form that personality and that character that said, this is scary, and if I get close to people, they will leave and I will get hurt. So don't get to know them, don't. But it wasn't true. I had experiences that shaped my beliefs when I was young as I thought about what kind of person I wanted to be. I thought about people like Nephi from the Book of Mormon, who said he would go and do the things which the Lord commanded, for he knew that the Lord didn't command anything unless he provided a way that he could accomplish the thing which the Lord commanded him. And I thought, man, I wish I could be like that. I hoped that I could act and be consistent. That consistency is something that I struggled with my entire life. I could have experiences, I could believe things, I could feel it, I could have moments of taking action, but then I'd be shaky, I'd be flaky, I'd be scared, I'd let the anxiety or the depression or whatever other problem get in the way. Negative thoughts, beliefs that people said to me, that I said to myself, and I talked myself out of it again and again and again and again. So that even though I had had some pretty profound experiences in my life, they weren't enough. And I couldn't figure out how to be enough. And then September 11th, 2001 came. It changed my life. I saw over 3,000 people lose their lives instantly. It's what made me have the desire to join the military to serve my country, and gave me the desire to have love towards other people, as imperfect as the world can be and as I was. I felt that I had been selfish and that I needed to live my life in a way that I gave back. So I began that journey. I'd gone on a mission for my church for 2 years. I served 13 years in the Army between the National Guard and active duty. I served in my church. I looked for ways to involve myself in the community. I gave countless hours to my family, namely to my brother, to my my wife, and my oldest daughter. And then it came to the hardest moment of my life. Through a series of experiences, it led up to my brother was telling me that the things that I thought were of most value of me were the things that were wrong with me the most. And I thought, how can I have anything to give to people at the very things that I think are my best qualities is what the person I'm trying to care about, one of the people I'm trying to care about the most, said was what was wrong with me and wouldn't accept it. I was hurt. I thought, well, help those I could help, be there for my wife and kids, having problems with my family. My grandmother passed away on my last deployment in 2014 from ALS. I had an opportunity to see her when I was on my leave from deployment, and I decided I would have time to go home afterwards and spend more time with her. And I was going to spend that time home from the deployment with my wife and kids. And then I went back to Afghanistan, and then my mother, who came out sharing she had a struggle with same gender attraction, then attempted suicide. Within a week, my grandmother died unexpectedly to us from the ALS. And suddenly my world was shattered. I thought things are falling apart. My relationship with my wife was not healthy. I I wasn't the best for her either. I had feelings for somebody else from even before I went on my mission, and I thought I was going to be over it before I would ever get married. And then I had the feeling that I was supposed to marry my wife, even though I had those other feelings. And it caused extreme problems in my marriage, including on my first deployment, that as this other woman talked to me and I expressed my true feelings towards her and with a desire to make closure, I told her that I loved her. And then I realized that that message that was meant to her, I sent to my wife. And I could have easily avoided that, but I tried to be honest all the time about what I said, what I felt, what I believed. So I told her, and my wife was very upset. She told me, I'm going to make you wish that you were dead, that you had never lived at all. And I did feel that way. I tried to get a Red Cross message to be sent home early, and my command wouldn't let me. In fact, they told me to be careful what I said because that it could be cause for action against me. So I worked on not talking to her, talked to the chaplain and everything, was pulling myself back together. And as I came home one day while I was serving the soldiers and would have gone home for lunch, it turned out my wife had been talking to someone for 6 months or longer, being deeply intimate and personal online. And this person traveled across the states to see her, and they did some things in my home. I later on was talking to my wife, telling her how I was so happy to be pulling myself back together and finally getting back on track. And then she just broke down crying and admitted to me what had happened. And I stayed with her. I stayed with her. I talked to that person, ended that relationship between them, tried to get my wife some help and continued to work on things. And I let that example be equal to my experience. I had like an emotional affair, and hers was much more than that, but I looked at it as to her it was the same, and that I needed to give back to her. And so I tried. And we've had problems since before we even got married. I didn't know how to work on a relationship. I didn't get to grow up with father and mother that stayed together and got along and knew how to work on things, and it wasn't healthy. There wasn't happiness. There wasn't understanding of what to do. I didn't know how to be married. I didn't know how to be a parent other than the examples and to my faith, my beliefs, seeking God's help. And I got to the point where it got so hard, I felt like there's nothing I could do. I have tried everything. And my wife had been threatening me and accusing me of things, wanted the marriage over from the very beginning almost. And I dealt with that for over 14 years. I thought, I'm going to hang in here for my kids. And then one day, my oldest daughter wanted to take her life, ended up in the hospital, blamed me. Her mother blamed me, and I thought, that's it. That was the final straw. Even with church, trying to be the guy that I felt I was supposed to be. And I thought I would grow into that. God will help me on these things. And I thought I would do more in the church. And then all of a sudden I got put into nursery. And I thought, nobody understands me. Nobody loves me. Nobody acknowledges me. Nobody appreciates me. I've got nothing. I've got no one. They didn't care about me. And by the time I got to my daughter, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've got nothing to give. I have nothing to live for. I didn't want to live anymore. It made me sick, and that illness ended my military career. I took on driving truck that I really shouldn't have done, but it was necessary. Pushed myself to the limits, still feeling like I wasn't getting help, feeling alone. But then I started my personal development focus. I went from wanting to take my life, hoping I would die from my sleep apnea, not wanting to use the machine, drink until I would pass out, didn't care what I said, what I did, to starting to make an effort. It was sloppy, and I still dealt with problems. I still had moments that I put a gun to my head. And then, with all the accusations that my wife put on me, I did the worst thing I ever thought I could do. I decided to act on those accusations and become the person that she told me that I was. And I hurt people emotionally, probably spiritually. I sought out a relationship. I hoped that it would give me an STD and take my life that way. I did not care about my life. I did not want to live. And then I decided I'd work on things. Suddenly, the alcohol became something that I could enjoy and use to relax. That made me feel like I was in more control, except I created more problems. I ended up with a problem with gambling. I ended up with a problem with impulse buying to cover up the gambling, thinking if I'm spending money, I might as well use it for something. And this process, still not getting help with my mental health. Tried using YouTube to learn things about mental illnesses, and ended up with, just on the debt side, over $250,000 in debt, because I convinced myself, and I was on top of it. I had a score of over 800 credit score. I had hundreds of thousands of dollars of available debt. I had learned how to build really good credit and create the life that I wanted, better than what I grew up with. I had a 3,900 square foot home. I provided for my family, but yet my wife was telling me that I didn't even care about my family. And those are the kinds of things I started to believe. I started isolating myself. I didn't care. I didn't make an effort. And when my daughter tried to take her life, I stopped being a parent. I couldn't do it. I was terrified that if I cared about my family and tried to do what I thought I was supposed to for them, then I would push them away and they would want to kill themselves. And so I didn't do anything. I focused on my driving, my gambling problems, and my spending, and slowly worked on things to try to enjoy my life without having a care in the world. And eventually I came to a point where I didn't like some of the connection that I had with some friends that spoke to me horribly, told me to shut the F up because I had a problem with speaking while they were still speaking, dealing with attention deficit, which this person says he did too, but his comes out in form of anger. Mine comes out with impulsive behavior and jumping in. And I try to communicate with him because I enjoyed my conversations with him. And I hope to be able to work through it. And he wasn't even willing to read my message because it was too long, not even on in his free time, and wouldn't get back to me. And so I started taking out everybody that I had connections with. If I didn't talk to them anymore and they didn't talk to me, they were not worth being connected to. And I slowly dismantled all of my relationships, except for a few. And then in the process of that, decided I need more friends because I only keep close to like a handful of people in my life. And then I give my all to them. And I connected with somebody. And then I, through this person, got connected to other people. And through those other people, my heart and mind began to change. I felt comfortable sharing some personal experiences and stories, one of which allowed me to start to feel what I felt was the spirit of God's awareness over me and my family. And from there, it led to a choice that I wanted to change my life. That I had done some things, but there was much of what I knew that I wasn't using. My brother that I still made efforts with, but I just couldn't stand it. There's times that I wanted to take my life over that relationship. I was talking to him about some of the things that I learned online about manifestation, the law of attraction, universal laws, and how I believe that, and how it, to me, they go together with scripture, Christian scripture stuff, and probably other scriptures. They make you be a better person and have a better life and have control of your life. And so I was talking about that, and he said, yes, you manifested things before in your life, but what are you doing now? And so I thought about that. And first I was kind of judgmental and thought, what do you mean? Like, I'm doing better than you. And that's where I think about what did it mean from his perspective? And what does it mean to me if I'm being honest? So for him, I thought he believes in our religion, but had a hard time knowing how to apply it and struggles with his own struggles with addictive behaviors, substance and whatnot, which a lot of people do. Alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and other behavior issues. And I always wanted to help him because I felt like he was a help to me in my development when I was younger. I wanted to give back. And then as I thought about myself, what does it mean to me? I thought, what am I doing with what I know? I know a lot of things. I know that I'm supposed to be doing things to take care of my health, and then I wouldn't have to be on these medications, and I could be healthier mentally, physically, and there's things I need to change. And I wasn't doing it. So what was I going to do? And then I started doing some research about my conditions, and it said if you continue to have these kinds of problems, which I had high blood pressure, I was considered overweight. Um, I was 220 pounds and overweight based off BMI is anything over 169. I was at times pre-diabetic or borderline pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, couldn't give plasma because my fat would and the blood would be so thick they'd have to defer me almost every single time I went. Um, and so metabolic syndrome's what I'm told is what all those things add up to, along with some other conditions, and said that if you continue on this path, you could die in your 50s. I'm in my 40s. I thought, wow, 10 years from now, I only got 10 years left. And I thought, I care about my family. I've got to do something to help them. And I can't do that if I'm not alive. They don't have the beliefs that I have, and I'm not living the beliefs. So I better change my life so that when the time comes that they need help to survive the things that we are told about the prophecies in this world and some of the struggles and things that people go through, I need to be alive to be there for them because they're not going to know what to do. Not only that, I needed to get back home. So I started making some changes, which started with fasting, things that I learned from those friends that I talked to. And as I focused on those things, I realized I wanted to fast from other problems too. I'd already been picking myself out of my debt, got out of almost all of it at that time, and now I'm happy to say that I got out of all of my past debts. Now I'm just making payments on my current debts. And I had my credit score drop from over 800 to about 345, and now it's gone between 600 and 700 in the last 7 years. So I'm still recovering. And then I learned that the program that I decided to go into, which allowed me to relinquish debt and do charge-offs to payoffs. I didn't understand what that meant. Turns out that, yeah, your score can go up, but these people, if you don't pay them, you'll never be able to do business with them again. And people can still make that judgment on their decision if they do anything with you based off of your history. So they led me astray, and I made a mistake. And now I'm paying for that, and I'm trying to fix it. I sold my house thinking because of the misery in my marriage, I didn't want her to have anything that I had. Took that away. Then later on, got into a place much smaller, a modular home. Went from 3,900 square foot house with equity to now about a 2,000 square foot modular home. Maxed out our equity and still in debt. Overpriced because of the inflation and with the economy and stuff with homes. I owe more on this house than I did on my almost twice the size home. Although I do have property now and things that I can do with it. So here's the thing. We go through experiences. We need to learn and grow. I took the route that I've talked about in other videos of how to overcome some challenges and start applying what I knew. Lost 70 pounds trying to get myself fit. Haven't met all my goals, and I'm not going to quit because I will meet every single one of my goals. In this process, I've learned and grown more. Confidence has grown by being able to see that I could take off that weight, get off medications, and change my lifestyle, do jobs I didn't think I could do for as long as I could, till I realized it was too much and I can't do it anymore, nor do I want to. I don't want to be a slave to someone else's purpose, working in a job, being underpaid, and working more than I can handle. So as I work this year on personal development with Tony Robbins programs and other things, come to the conclusion I want to start my own business and make money, work for myself, and help other people just like I have helped myself. I want to find people like you that have been people like me that have felt stuck, were stuck, and only were getting worse, and there's nothing they thought they could do. And I want to tell you, not only can we overcome those challenges, I don't care what they are, whether I've experienced or not, I understand the patterns of belief and the discipline to the emotional change that could create your desired outcome. I understand it. I understand it perfectly enough to get the results. If you create that drive and know that you won't stop till you get it, your whole life is going to change and faster than you ever thought imaginable. So I want to help transform your life. And then because there's also problems in the world and there's problems with other people that we care about, they need to be brought into this, transform their lives, overcome the challenges in their life. And together we need to change the world. We need to get a different desired outcome. For one, think about, well, so many of us have been overweight and not feel fit and healthy. And why is that? It's not just because of our choices, it's because of other people's choices that sell us products that are addictive intentionally, that will make us sick, so they could sell us another product so that we don't have control over our lives, so that we will be sick and stuck in a habit of eating the wrong foods, being sick and having to be on medication, and needing to slave ourselves away for work, and then have things that cost too much money so that our basic needs aren't met, and then we have to work even more. We can't even enjoy what we have. We don't enjoy the things we buy. We don't enjoy our time. We don't enjoy our family. We don't enjoy our life, and we don't enjoy our health. That's taken away all of our purpose. And my promise and commitment to you is that if you will work together with me, and together we create a movement, together we commit to change, saying enough is enough, that the time is now to become more and forge our way forward on the path we want to have, the persons we want to become, the lives we desire, the outcomes we desire, and that there is no limit to it, and that there is nothing that can stop us except for us. If you change the way you think and feel, and you have put forth the action, you can change your outcome. That is an absolute certainty. And if you work with me, you've got somebody else to help you do it. You don't even have to do it by yourself. And I'm asking, I put in another thing in a video that one of my programs, my first program was $300. If you get in touch with me now, I will honor that. $300 in 6 months over the sessions. This is what we'll do. The first session will be an hour long. Every session after that will be only 30 minutes, because everything is going to revolve around your action and your commitment. And when we talk, it's going to be follow up where you're at and where you need to be, and get you back on path, get back out there taking action. So the first 2 weeks in a row, we will have a session. After that, it will be every other week for 2 months. And then for the remaining 2 months, you will have one session a month, with the intent that you will have this life transformation, be a part of a community of like-minded people who have struggled and have overcome. It doesn't matter what the problem was. We can categorize this in groups and say, hey, I only want to connect with the people that have my exact problem. We can create that in a group setting. And I will put that kind of things together for you. And then, because I have talked about before that the desire to give back, instead of focusing on, I don't know how to do this, we're going to find a way. There will be a percentage that's going to go to nonprofit projects, service projects. And after your transformation, when you're comfortable and ready to do so, perhaps before you feel ready, because that is honestly the best time. Don't wait until you feel ready. Take action now. It is the action and the intention, the desire that turns into intention, and the intention you turn into action, that gets you result. So the quicker you do it, the sooner you see results. So don't put it off, because this isn't just about changing you, it's about changing the people around you. You want your relationships to get better, you want your life to get better, you want the world to get better. You have to start with you. If you don't put the work into you, Nothing else happens. This movement won't exist without you. Look at how many people have only even viewed this versus a few people that had chosen to subscribe. And even before I put this together, and you guys who did subscribe, there was 2 people. If you are receiving this, I ask you to say something in the comments. I ask you to express your thoughts and feelings, and I understand. I know one of you had mentioned to me, I hope you do it. I hope you do it. This isn't wishy-washy stuff, and I know this has taken me a while, but it's what we do together, and it's not what I do alone. If you want this too, I'm asking you, support it, participate, share it. And if there are people down the road who want to help other people transform their life too, and not just bring them to these programs, want to serve people themselves one-on-one, at some point, I expect to bring on more life coaches, more people doing workshops, more people doing public speaking, which I'm still working on creating myself for me to do, and possibly one other person that I've chosen to partner with me. But it's going to take sacrifice, it's going to take discipline, it's going to take that motivation, that drive. You have to understand the reason why you want this, why you must do it, and understand your desired outcome is the outcome you will create. The desired outcome, your desired outcome, is the outcome that you will create. So I ask you, get involved, participate, just start talking with me. We'll do podcasts, we'll do groups, we'll have conversations, we'll share this message gets out. I put these programs together that will cost money because I need to make a living too. And I try to do the right thing with what the price is so that it can help more people. And at some point, I expect this to be filled up, that only certain amounts of the time will be my availability to work one-on-one with people. Some of that time will be with having somebody else work one-on-one with them. And some of my time needs to be spent going in public, doing workshops, and then having somebody else go in public and do workshops. This needs to spread throughout the world. Let me give you one of the examples of world problems. We talked about the economy, talked about money management. Look what I did with my debt. Shout out to Tony Robbins' wealth management program. It lit something up in here to tell me we need to understand credit, and we need to understand spending. We need to understand saving and budget, and you need to understand investing. If you understand those things, you can change your financial life too, and not just yours. You can, if we share the information, we can help other people working together change the outcome. Our economy does not need to wait to be fixed by the government. It needs to be fixed by us right now, understanding how that works. It means if you borrow money, pay it back. Don't get yourself in a position where you have to be in a program where you get charged off like I did. That's why interest rates go up and down. They have to keep balancing it every single time something gets shifted. If you want the roller coaster ride to stop, we all need to be educated and start making the right choices. When we fix our own personal life situation, we're going to be fixing things and changing things in the world, starting with our own country. Start with you, your family, your relationships, your community, and together we change the world. So please respond in the comments if you want to take action. I will get contact with you. I will make contact with you, and you can be my first client. And I promise you, I will not give up until you see something that's worth what the money you're putting into. And with the things, the outcomes that you get, I intend you will get back far more than you put into it, because I want a full life transformation. That means together we're going to figure out how we start not just changing our life with our health and fitness, our spiritual growth, our emotional growth, our mental growth, our relationships with others, but also our financial situation and living our dreams of being able to go do things in this world that we were giving up on and we didn't think we could. Everything that you have felt and believed, whether you were a child when you first felt it or an adult, you can still do. And I promise I won't quit until I help you succeed. Let me give you some examples, some of the growth that I've experienced. I still go through hardships with my wife, with my brother, with my oldest daughter. But I do have my daughter back in my life because she went years without me being allowed to be in her life. I didn't get to meet my grandson until he's been almost 3 years old. But I've learned some ways and things to do about changing myself. And I've learned how to care in the process of taking action patiently to get the desired results. There is a New Testament scripture that words this way: by patience have her perfect work, that ye may become perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If you start feeling what it feels like to be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, and you start acknowledging the very desired outcomes you want and feel gratitude as if they have already been experienced, that is how you attract it to come to you, including the healing of relationships. It will change the way you think and feel, and you'll get those desired outcomes. Your body will change. You'll put off the weight. You'll get in that fitness. Your brain will be sharper. Your spiritual reality will sharpen. You'll feel closer to God and to others. And you will feel not only financially wealthy, but in every way wealthy. You will feel like a creator of your own world, not a victim. That is my guarantee that God puts in me, that I will work with every breath of my life to help you experience for yourself. It doesn't matter what you've done, what you didn't do, what anybody's told you, how hard it's been, how many times you've failed. I promise you, I will help you get results. If you promise that you won't quit trying, because that is what it will take. And I'll be there with you every step of the way in one form or another, whether it's personally now when I have the time to do so, or I use these programs that I'm creating with your help to give you more access to help, to keep your growth going. Listen, this is going to be a lifelong community and a lifelong change. We don't just do it once, get the results, and be done with it. No, we never quit. We say the Army values. We always place the mission first. We never accept defeat. We never quit. We never leave a fallen comrade, which means after you have taken care to help yourself, go and help somebody else. I promise God lives and loves you, and the God within you, your higher self, loves you too, and that you can become exactly everything that you feel on the inside in your reality. If you build it on the inside, you will build it on the outside. I guarantee it. And in my faith, we'd say, I leave that with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. I give you my heart, my soul, my vulnerability, and my personal life experiences. We do what it takes to grow, and we do it right to the best we can every day. Go out and do your part. This isn't motivation. This isn't inspiration. This is an invitation. Let me help you. Let's work together, and we're going to get results. I'll see you next time. Bye.